Hello my loves, my name is Hannah and welcome to another weekly reading diary. So I'm just going to be taking you through 1 week in my reading life. Now, disclaimer at the start of this video, I am just pulling myself out of a pretty hefty reading slump. So I'm recording this on a Wednesday. So we're going Wednesday to Tuesday with this week. And so I haven't been reading much. I actually started recording a version of this about 2 weeks ago and it totally failed because I didn't read anything. So we're gonna hope that this week goes a little bit better, but hey, sometimes reading's like that. Let's not stress about it. But it has been, I work in education and it is a very busy time. Obviously September is the start of our academic year here in the UK, so things are just real busy. But I'm feeling much better and I have identified some good windows of reading in the week. So I'm hoping that I will still be able to talk to you about some good books that we're going to manage to read. So this is just a very quick hello and to say what I'm currently reading. So I am about 80% of the way through My Friends by Hisham Matar. It's very much, we're in prize list territory at the minute. So I'm reading My Friends by Hisham Matar, which was not shortlisted for the Booker Prize, but which I'm quite surprised at because so far of the books I have read on the Booker long list. It's one of my favourites, but we're reading that. I'm just about to start Creation Lake by Kushner, which is also on the Booker list. That one did make the shortlist. I am about halfway through Kairos by Jen Erpenbeck, which is this year's winner of the International Booker Prize. And I also am reading some work stuff, which I probably won't chat about in depth, but just in case you're interested, I'm also reading a book about education in the prison system. So I may or may not talk to you about that. But yeah, it's Wednesday. I'm currently on my lunch break. Obviously no reading is going to be happening until I finish work, but then I'll be going on a dog walk and probably listening to some more of my friends, and then we can have a little chat later. So make yourself a brew, pull up a chair, and let's have a cozy time. I was going to say cozy time because it was getting autumnal. But it's got so hot this week again. We're like over halfway through September and like the leaves are falling from the trees, but it is warm and I don't want it to be warm. I want it to be cool. But anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you. Let's get reading. Ahoy there! Sorry if this is really yellow and glary, but either I'm completely in shadow or you've got light, so I hope I've made the right call, guys. Sorry. Welcome to the kitchen. It is 7:15 and I have already made and eaten dinner because we're eating quite early at the minute in the evening because of my partner's in shows at the moment, so he has to eat at like 6. And I'm like, if I'm going to the effort to make tea, I can't be asked to do that twice, do you know what I mean? So now I'm eating early. And I have just finished the audiobook of My Friends by Hisham Matar. So I thought I could talk to you about that while I prep dinner for tomorrow night. Because apparently I'm a domestic goddess, so I'm just making a spiced yogurt marinade for a head of cauliflower that I'm going to slow roast tomorrow. So I figured I would talk to you about my book while I do that. And be mindful as I do this that like I slumped right in the middle of reading this book. And it is not at all the book's fault. But it did mean that for parts of while I was reading this, I possibly wasn't in the headspace that I should have been in. Just gonna get all of the ingredients that I need actually together. and then I can talk to you about the book. Okay, so we have ingredients. Let's chat about my friends. So this is, as I said earlier, it was longlisted for the Booker Prize, didn't make the shortlist of the Booker Prize, and I am pretty surprised that it didn't. This is a book that is about 3 friends. It's told from the perspective of one man, Khaled, who is a Libyan man, who was born in Libya and then came to the UK to study. And then, for reasons, is unable to return to Libya, because he accidentally fell foul of the dictatorship. So it's a book that, and so it's about him, and as the title might suggest, his friends, two friends specifically that he makes along the way once he's in the UK, who are also spices down the throat. Two friends that he makes who are also Libyan men who, for one reason or another, are unable to return home. And I think what the book captured so beautifully was the, like, I can't remember really reading a book about exile in the kind of like modern understanding of it. And I thought that was like brilliant. It's really poetically written. There was like, I'll have to find it on my phone. I will find it afterwards because I wrote the quote down. And you know it's a good one. If I go to the effort of actually going on my phone and writing down a quote for a book that I am listening to, you know it's a good quote. But it was something about, like, he describes one of his friends as having like a face that can change like the weather, but like better than that. I'll find it. It's quite a sprawling book. It begins, it's got this like really lovely opening where they're in King's Cross station, and one of his friends is about to go to Paris. He's about to move to Paris. And that's kind of in like the contemporary era. And then basically we go back in time and circle back to that one moment. So that's kind of at the end of their friendship, sort of. But then we go back and we get all of the beginnings of it. And so it's really like this very personal, private history of this one person, but that is also kind of through parallels and through actual sort of interventions in this one person's life. The political story of Libya and the Arab Spring and sorry. And yeah, I thought it was really good. I will say, and this is why I prefaced it by saying that I slumped in the middle of reading this. I did sometimes find it a little too meandering. And right towards the end, so I slumped when I had about 3 hours of the audiobook to go. It's about 13 hours long, so I read like most of the book in a reasonably like at my normal pace, and then basically like fell off the face of the earth for a week and a half, and then picked it back up yesterday pretty much. And in that time, I don't think I forgot stuff that had happened, but then events seemed to be coming a little bit out of nowhere. That's my front door right there. That's actually book mail, which I will show you in a minute. Work book mail though, so like probably not very exciting for you, but nice for me. Yeah, so I then found like right in the last 3 hours, there were like several occasions where I was getting tripped up because I thought that all of a sudden I became unsure about what time period we were in, or what country we were in, or who people were, which hadn't happened the whole time I'd been reading it, like, prior to my slump, right? So I suspect it is a me thing, but it seemed weird that all of a sudden I was having problems like that. But it's a beautiful book. That it is very literary. I don't think it's going to be one for people who do want like a bit more of a straightforward plot, because the book doesn't really give you that. But I did think it was beautiful, and I do want to read other books by this author now, having read that. And yeah, I might revisit this review later in the week. I've literally just finished it, so I might want to gather my thoughts a little bit more before kind of like officially being like, that's it, I've said everything I've got to say. So that is Marinade made, and but yeah, so that is one book down. So we're already doing much better than the last time I tried and failed to film this video, because I have at least finished a book. Right, that can go in the fridge, you can go in the fridge. Do you want to see what books I've got? That'd be education, non-fiction, so probably not very... Oh, yeah, there's the yogurt. Damn it. It's fine. It probably won't be very exciting, and, right, I do not buy my books from this organisation, but when books are purchased for me for work, this is who, unfortunately, we have to go with. So, let's see what we got. Okie dokes. Well, we have The Will to Change, Men, Masculinity and Love by Bell Hooks. Now, this is for a project that I'm doing around progressive masculinity in schools, so I'm looking forward to reading that one. And I mean, it is blurbed by Maya Angelou, so we do have some literary credit. And this is The Behaviour Whisperer by Mark Roberts, who is someone that I have worked with previously, so that's nice. And that is about, surprisingly, behaviour in classrooms. So I've got those. Don't worry, I probably won't be reading those in these videos. But I will be reading them soon, because I have to. So that's taken us pretty much to 7 o'clock, and now I am going to do some reading. I've recorded quite a short video earlier to go on my channel tomorrow night to fill in the gap that this video was supposed to be in, but that wasn't done because of the drink every time I say slump. Yeah, I will, so I'm gonna edit that possibly later today, or maybe just after I finish work tomorrow. We'll see, but I'm looking forward to reading something. So I'm gonna go do that, and I will check in with you later. Oh, I'm gonna make some overnight oats. I'm gonna make some overnight oats, and then I'm gonna read my book. Video edited and uploaded. Taking my makeup off, going to bed. It's my lunch break, and I'm popping to the library to return these 2 books, both very good. And in the next clip, you're about to see the correct soup to crouton ratio, just in case you were wondering. Bye. Back from our walk. Finished work. Back from the walk. More workbooks arrived. We've got Mask Off by JJ Bowler. We've got Rebels with a Cause by Niobe Way. I'm gonna have a read of Kairos. Lewin's annoyed at me because we only did a short walk. And the reason we only did a short walk is because he's hurt his leg, but he still wants to go for a big walk. Okay, very exciting day to be Lewin. Very exciting day to be Lewin because he's got new pillows. Is it a new pillow? Oh, there we go. Is that good? Yep. Is it even a weekly reading diary if I don't update you on my reading from this specific field? Welcome to 7 a.m. We're having a very slow little plod around the fields, and I thought, as I always do think when I'm doing the morning dog walk and recording one of these videos, I'll just tell the people how I'm getting on with my reading. So, had a lovely little reading evening last night. Let's update you on the books that I'm currently in the middle of. So the one that I'm closest to finishing is, you're right, Kaylee, is Kairos by Jen Erpenbeck, which is translated from the German by Michael Hoffman. And this is, as I think I said earlier, the winner of the International Book of this year. And I don't know. There are points in it where I think, oh my god, that's brilliant, and it's very interesting. So it begins with a woman called Katerina, and she gets a call from someone called Ludwig who says, Dad died. And he sends a load of stuff to her. And we realise very quickly that the person who's died is someone that she had an affair with when she was much younger. And the stuff that she sent are boxes of sort of his things that he had to remember her by. And I knew going into this book that this was sort of about a relationship with quite a significant age gap. She's, I think, 19 when they start seeing each other in the 80s in East Germany. And he's, I think, in his 50s or late 40s, early 50s. I'm not going to get down on an age gap. If an age gap works for you, fine. But the dynamics are off in this relationship from pretty early on. And there's some really interesting parallels going on between the relationship between Hans and Katerina, which becomes more and more toxic as more and more distrust comes in, and as Hans becomes like a weaker character. In some ways becoming an older man, he becomes, you know, sort of a lot more jealous, a lot more possessive, and that is all paralleled with the sort of fall of East Germany, and that's the bit that I'm finding quite, I think that's the point of difference about the book, because otherwise I feel like I've read similar-ish sort of things, but I haven't really read anything that is set in East Germany and is so specifically about East Germany. And I remember listening to the Booker Prize podcast, which is very good, and hearing them talk on that about the fact that, you know, East Germany as a country existed far longer than, you know, like the Weimar Republic and the rise of the Nazis and the whole war period. And yet it's sort of treated by Europeans as like a bit of a blip, like that thing happened briefly, but actually, you know, people had whole lives there, and there were people, Hans being one of them, who believed in the communist sort of, believed in that version of Germany and wanted it to survive. So I think that's been really interesting. The chapters are all quite short, and they're told as if they're sort of like sides of a tape, because in the second half of the book, Katerina does something that causes Hans to go on an absolute fucking tirade, and he starts sending her these cassette tapes, basically hour-long cassettes of him
listing all the ways that she's disappointed and let him down, and incredibly emotionally manipulative, incredibly immature. And yeah, I am finding it interesting, and when the writing works for me, sorry, I've got a sore shoulder. When the writing is working for me, it's working really well. And I think it's really effective at points. And I am enjoying those parallels. And I do think it's interesting to have that sort of perspective in a book, and try and sort of remember it's got a lot of art and culture in, because again, I'm not really aware of like the art and culture that was being kind of produced in East Germany around that time. It's all kind of been a bit erased, along with sort of or kind of surpassed in our memory maybe by the history that had preceded it. So I think that is all interesting. I can see why it won the Booker for that reason. I'm just finding it a little, at points, a little tedious. And I think it's because of Hans's behaviour. And we know from the prologue that eventually she does extract herself from this relationship. Which way do you want to go, darling? Okay. Yeah, okay. This way? All right. Oh, this way? Fine. We know she does extract herself from this relationship because, she's living very far away when he dies. But you're kind of waiting for her to realise. And I will say that there is some, so it starts, what starts as some kind of like sort of reasonably gentle BDSM in their relationship becomes an outlet for Hans to like vent his frustration and anger at her, and it becomes abusive. But I think it's written very, very well in that when it's happened, but she does not describe it in any kind of, like, there's implications, you don't miss the implication, but it's never gratuitous and it's never kind of like on the page. And I think that is done really well. So there's lots to like. I don't know how much it is affected by my slump, because this was one of the books that I started before I didn't read anything for a week. So if it's feeling like it's taking a long time, that might be unfair of me, because it might just be that it's taken me a really long time. But there's that. Like, I think it's solid. I think by the end of the book, I will say, I enjoyed this. I'm glad I read it. It's not a favourite. That's my prediction. Then I am about a quarter of the way through Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner, and I'm really enjoying that one. I knew nothing about this one, and I've never read any Rachel Kushner before, so I didn't really know what to expect. But this is about a woman. It's told in first person, and she is a sort of young-ish, attractive woman. She's quite callous, she's quite shallow, she's got very harsh opinions about people and things, very set in her ways. She's a little bit almost sociopathic at the minute. She's infiltrating a group of eco-activists who are supposedly planning some kind of sabotage of a mega basin that's being built in France. So basically, instead of letting all the water exist where it naturally exists to support the individual ecosystems that are there, the companies have created, the agriculture in the area has become monopolised. They're just going to make corn, and so they're pulling all of the water and making this massive water basin just because it's convenient for their business and efficient and fuck the environment. So she's sort of going in and infiltrating that, but it's pacey, it's pithy, it's very dense in terms of, like, the writing's not dense, it's actually quite a quick quite a quick read, but there is so much of interest packed into the pages that I've just sort of, at first it took me a little minute to get into it because I was really thinking about everything. Like there's this whole discussions, there's these discussions early on. She's like hacked into the emails of this guy, and he's been sending these climate group. His passion project is like researching and theorizing about the Neanderthals. And so you just get kind of pages of him talking about how they definitely smoked and they clearly suffered from depression, and coming up with some of these theories that feel a little bit out there, but as someone who doesn't really know much about this, I don't know how out there those theories actually are. But I'm really enjoying that one. Will I be able to get down here talking and without falling over? Maybe. But yeah, so I won't say too much more about that, but I'm really enjoying the voice of it and the vibe of it. It's definitely one of the books that has like gripped me the earliest, and that I've got into reading because I'm very interested in where the story is going, as opposed to just because I like the writing. So that's interesting. And then I started another book yesterday after finishing My Friends by Hisham Matar. I started the audiobook of Stoneyard Devotional by Charlotte Wood, which is read by Ailsa Piper. Yeah, again, not one that I knew anything about except that it was an Australian book. And I don't read a lot of Australian books, so I'm pleased about that. And oh, it's quite dark down here, sorry. But yeah, I'm enjoying that one too. I'd heard that it's very dark down here. Look, autumn is coming. I'm enjoying that one as well. It's a kind of, I don't know if this ever distracts you or bothers you in reading, right? So I'm listening to it, and it's about this woman, and we know that her parents have died, and we know that her partner is just flown to England, moved to England, and that she's not going to be going with him. So some kind of significant relationship has come to an end, and she's gone to this like nunnery, kind of for like a retreat thing, but she is a bit of a lapsed Catholic, and it's very vibes, very vibesy. That's a big stick, my guy. Very vibesy, and I'm enjoying it. But I can't tell how old this woman is, and it's annoying me, because like she could be 30, she could be 60, and so I'm struggling to picture her in my head, and it doesn't really matter because I'm inside her head, so I actually don't need to see from the outside in, because I only need to look from inside her and out. But do you ever get annoyed by stuff like that? I just want to be able to picture her, and I don't need physical descriptions. I don't care what she looks like. I want to know where she is in her life. But yeah. But so it's about, so far, sad woman at nunnery. And then we get into the second book. And there is a mystery too. Or is there a mystery? Yeah, kind of a mystery. And I think the story's going to pick up now. But I really like the writing, and it's very well read. So that's been my update. Off to work now. Bye. It's okay, Lou. It's okay, they're not here. You're okay.
Okay, it does look shit, but there is a lot of discourse about dense bean salads happening on TikTok these days. This has been my favourite salad for 6 years. It's a Tuscan bean salad. It fucking slaps. So I'm telling you that, and I'm just letting you know that it's Friday and I'm on my lunch break, and I'm going to eat that with some bagels and watch a bit of Jen Campbell's YouTube. That's what's happening now. It's my lunch break. Did I say that? It's my lunch break. I'm not skiving! It's my lunch break! Friday evening. I was gonna read, but honestly, the brain, it's just not braining. I think I'm gonna try a couple of episodes of Fellow Travellers, which is the new queer, like, period drama with Matt Bomer and our Lord and Saviour, Jonathan Bailey. So I'll let you know how that is instead. Okay, we have watched one episode. It's doing that thing. It's doing that thing where it starts at the end, so you know what is gonna happen. And so I know that this is gonna hurt my feelings. Oh, it's gonna hurt my feelings. My feelings are gonna be so hurt. But it's good and I'm enjoying it, so I'm gonna carry on. I said it was gonna hurt my feelings, and my feelings have been hurt.
Sunday. Very little reading has happened since Friday, but that's okay. But I've watched things, so I guess I'll tell you about what I watched, because I can't tell you about what I read. Fellow Travellers. It did make me cry, obviously, as you will have seen. And it was good. It's a split timeline across the sort of like McCarthy era up to the height of the AIDS epidemic, and you kind of like chopping between those decades. And so it's one of those ones. The reason I said I knew it was going to make me cry is because we knew in the first episode that one of the characters is sick with AIDS by the 80s. And we also know that various things have happened and that they're not... These two men are not together. Sorry, that was... These two men are not together. Just let me get through my trees. So it did that thing where you're waiting for the inevitable thing, and I just find that a bit narratively dissatisfying. So like performances were good. I appreciated seeing the latter part of it. It was kind of treading on similar ground to It's a Sin, but obviously from the American perspective, so that was interesting. And I mean, it was bad enough in the UK and we had a national health service, so, you know, I appreciated seeing that perspective. I did find, though, because it was covering such a wide history, so it was 8 episodes, and you're covering sort of like, you had like an episode that was on Fire Island, you had like a couple of episodes that were really about like McCarthyism and the sort of, was it the Lavender Scare or the Lavender Panic? It was something that just like doesn't roll off the tongue as a phrase, but yeah, was a phrase. And I found like we weren't in any part of history for long enough for me. So doesn't mean not bad. And I still cried at the end, but you know, I am gonna cry at anything. I also like weirdly thought the music was all over the place, like all over the place. You know that like thing that people say about like a good score or a good soundtrack is that you shouldn't notice it. I noticed it in every fucking scene. So that was, if that sort of thing annoys you, then. And I'm glad I watched it. I wouldn't be like rushing to recommend it. And I'm wondering now about the book and whether the book would give me more depth than a TV adaptation was able to do. Because the other thing, as well as not feeling like I was in the time period for long enough, and the two actors, they have got good chemistry. But it did that thing when there's a romance, and this was a bit, weirdly, weird comparison, this was a bit how I felt about The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, in that we were being told that they loved each other a lot, but I couldn't see why they loved each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, they felt, you know, and I mean, you know, love's magic, it's not science, but, you know, I was a bit like, oh, I don't really know what these men see in each other, actually. Oh, he's off, he's gone. So, there was that. Then I rewatched Billy Elliot yesterday. A classic. I had to actually, you know, be a dog walker for a sec there. It's okay, darling, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There is a dog he doesn't like. On the other side of those trees, very far away. Very far away. But that doesn't stop us being worried. This way, darling, come on. Ah. No, if I could sniff my enemies from that far away, I would totally avoid them too, you're right. So, Billy Elliot, tick, no notes. I mean, a couple of dodgy accents but no notes. And then last night, after my partner got in, because he weirdly, the show he's in at the minute, does really weird timings, because they'll do a Saturday matinee, normal, fine. But then their Saturday evening performance is at 6. Which is so weird, but it did mean that he got back home for like 9:30, which meant we could watch a film on a Saturday, which we haven't been able to do since he started this show, so that's nice. And we watched Fracture, which is a film from like 2007, and it is Anthony Hopkins, the great Anthony Hopkins, and baby Ryan Gosling, Bella Swan's dad, Charlie Swan, he's in it, and Miss Honey, she's in it. So yeah, and I thought it's a good, if you're looking for like a good kind of like courtroomy thrillery, it's not very long because it was made in 2007, so it's basically like 90 minutes. It's one of the ones that in that genre of like character-led sort of thriller, it was kind of at the start of that, so there are some moments that are very clearly like 90s hangovers. At one point a guy like jumps over a desk in the courtroom and we're like, okay. But it was very good. Like, not going to be like a favourite, but like it's like a solid, quick thriller. It's always really interesting to see actors from like relatively early on in their career, because like Ryan Gosling as we know him now, very pared back actor, doesn't do very much. There was like one scene where we like were watching it and my partner and I turned to look at each other and we're like, wow, because he was doing everything in that scene. Like he was still good. You could just tell he was earlier on in his career. And yeah, it was good. I mean, it doesn't pass the Bechdel test, and Miss Honey gets fridged in the first 10 minutes. But other than that, and those sorts of like 90s tropes, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. So it's now Sunday morning, and I will have a little read when I get back home. she says, allegedly. Maybe I'm not a reader anymore, guys. Imagine if we found that out together, that I've just stopped reading. No, I'm sure I will do some reading. I think Kairos is my slumpy book. It's so funny because I'm not enjoying it. But since I started reading it, I've not been wanting to read. So, it could be coincidental. It could be. Am I going the wrong way? Okay, I'll come back. Okay. No, you choose. Sure, absolutely. Right. Yeah, and then later today we are going to the theatre to see, I don't know what, but we're going at 2 p.m. to see something at the Theatre Royal that my partner's parents, well, his mum particularly wanted to go and see, so we're going to see that. And then I'll probably be watching the football, but no, we played yesterday. I won't be watching the football. So yeah, we'll hopefully be doing some reading. Oh, that fucking sandwich. If you are anywhere in the Newcastle area, you must go to Whitley Bay. You must go to, oh my god, what's it called? Pranzo's? I think Pranzo's. There's a main restaurant, and then on the opposite side of the street is their bodega. That's like the little deli, and that's where you get the sandwiches from. And they do really good vegan sandwiches. I mean, they do really good vegetarian sandwiches and meat sandwiches too. I assume, I just haven't eaten them. But the vegan one, so my partner had one that was like roast veg, like aubergine and pepper and stuff with like loads of basil. And then I had one that had like a sun-dried tomato cream and like massive beefsteak tomatoes and these like lemon marinated courgettes and rocket. And it was oily. It was oily, but it was delicious. So get yourself there. Great sandwiches.
Okay, the lighting is terrible in here, and I don't normally do like a fit check in these videos. That's not the vibe. However, this felt important because it's autumn. Yes. Hi. Sunday night. It's 9:30 and I'm in bed. We did go to the theatre. It wasn't the Theatre Royal, it was at Life Theatre. We went to see Love It If We Beat Them. So it was set against that that year when Kevin Keegan was managing Newcastle United, where it was like the entertainers, and when Newcastle like nearly won the league. And so it was about that, but it was more about the politics and what was going on. So there was this, so for people who don't know when that was, because they don't use Newcastle United as a time reference, it is like, it was in the build-up to the general election where Blair came in. And the end of Thatcher's reign. So it's kind of like it was plotting the football season alongside the political movement, and it followed some fictionalized characters, but basically the gap that formed between New Labour and like your classic lefty socialists, particularly like people who've been involved in the miners' strikes and things like that. And it was good. It was solid. I think there will be like 2 more shows at Live by the time this video is going out. So if you happen to be local and there are tickets left, it was good. I mean, it's not subtle in some of its messaging, but I don't think theatre has to be subtle. But yeah, it was enjoyable, entertaining, very funny. So there was that. And then I have done some reading. I read some of Creation Lake and some of Stoneyard Devotional. I'm still enjoying both of those books. I think both of them will be in like my shortlist for the Booker Prize, and they're both on the actual Booker Prize shortlist as well. So maybe I agree with the judges this year, except I don't, because I probably would have put My Friends on the shortlist. But anyway, yeah, I've done some reading, but not a huge amount. But you know, the thing is with these videos is that I am just genuinely trying to capture what my reading weeks are like, and sometimes they're like this. I was just looking at my Storygraph stats, and like I on average read around 3,000 pages a month, between 3,000 and 4,000, and I'm on about, I think, 1,200 pages this month. So yeah, we're slow, but that's all right. That's all right. I think I'm fighting the urge to kind of like, I want to get out of a reading slump because I love reading, but I'm trying not to force myself out of a reading slump so that I can create content. Do you know what I mean? That feels like a silly thing to do, because like this is a hobby, you know? Like, let's not turn my hobby into a job. So I'm sorry that there's not been more book chat, but never mind. I'm gonna hunker down in bed with my book. I think I'm gonna take Creation Lake to bed today, and I reckon I've got a solid 10 pages in me before I fall asleep, so wish me luck. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see this, but like, that is my, I don't know my left from my right, that is my right leg. This is my left leg that he's using my foot as a pillow. I guess I should be grateful he's let me in the bed, but dude, seriously? Seriously? Hello. I have been well and truly rained on. The good news is I have had a real good listen to the audiobook of Stoneyard Devotional, and I got real into it, and I'm nearly finished. So that is really good, isn't it? So that's nice, because I did both of the dog walks. So normally my partner and I will like do one of each. So one of us will do his morning walk and one will do his afternoon walk, but he's really sick, so I was like, I will do them both. That means I've been able to listen to my audiobook on my walks for extra minutes today, so that's been nice. And I think he's just going to do his own thing this evening, so I'm going to get some reading of Creation Lake done, because I'm really enjoying it. I'm just finding like, this is why I think audiobooks are going to be my saviour with the slump generally, because sometimes it's just like my eyes can't do the looking at the pages anymore, whereas like just knowing that I can like, you know, do some kind of silly little game on my phone that doesn't really require my brain, but that just keeps me doing something, but I'm just listening to something I find helpful. So it's like 5 p.m. now. Finished work, finished the walk, got my hair cut, gonna have a brew and eat a donut. There are lots of fancy donut companies these days, you know. And I just don't think you can beat a classic glazed donut from Greg's. Like, just, you can keep your weird nutty fillings. I mean, I don't mean nutty as in containing nuts, I just mean nutty as in nutty. I just like, I'll eat it, but it doesn't hit the same. It's just a plain glazed donut. And if that makes me boring, then I don't mind being boring. Okay. I'm gonna eat my donut now, bye. I think I'm a genius. I've just discovered something. Crumpet. I mixed together some butter and a bit of sugar and some cinnamon, and I put it on a crumpet, and it's a cinnamon swirl crumpet. Like, make me king. I'm a genius.
Hello. Still buzzing about my crumpet invention. It was my friend Helen's birthday yesterday, so the crumpet has been named Crumpet a la Helen in case you are planning on spreading it around, you know. Please credit it with its proper name. So it's Tuesday evening. I am reheating some leftovers for dinner. And guys, I finished 2 books yesterday. I know. We thought this day would never come. I finished 2 books. So that's nice. It's nice that I have finished something. I mean, I know I finished my friends, but that was like right at the start of this video, and frankly, it feels like another time, another world. So I'm glad I finished something. And so we'll start with Kairos, which I'm not going to speak about in too much detail because I have already kind of spoken about it a fair bit. It's a funny one. It's a kind of like, intellectually, I liked it. Like, I'm not able to pick many faults with it. It felt really long, and it wasn't a long book. And I think possibly the balance of there were a few bits towards the end where it was like after basically describing the first election that they had in a free East Germany, where the government was basically voted in order to dissemble itself, and the kind of like the grief of that for a lot of people who actually really did believe in socialism, maybe not the exact form of socialism that was happening in East Germany, but they felt politically like becoming amalgamated with a capitalist West Germany was politically not what they wanted, and it kind of captured that quite nicely. But it was like I found it kind of doing this a lot. So as I got more interested in the politics, I got less interested in the relationship, and then when I got interested in the relationship again, the world wasn't doing it for me, and I just couldn't quite hold interest in both of those things at the same time. I do think it is possibly a right book, wrong time situation, you know? It could just be that my brain is not where my brain needed to be in order to properly critically engage with this book, and you've got to kind of hold your hands up sometime as a reader and go, I might have read this wrong. But I liked it. I can see why it won. I can see why it won the International Booker, particularly for being like a story from a kind of underrepresented, or at least from my perspective, an underrepresented German story. I've certainly never read anything, I don't think, that was set in East Germany and that was very specifically about that thing and wasn't just like very negative and very like pro-West. So I'm glad I read it. And then I read and finished Stoneyard Devotional, which I really liked, despite it having almost no story at all. I really recommend the audiobook of this if you can get it. I bought it on Libro FM. I couldn't find it at my local library or on Everand, but it's worth kind of like having a look around, because I know different kind of depending on where you are in the world, you might have different options. But I really thought it was beautiful. It's this quiet sort of meditation. You're following this woman, and I watched Jen Campbell did a vlog where she was reading the long list of the Booker Prize, and I only caught up on it this week, because sometimes I like try to limit, if I know I'm going to be reading a prize list, I kind of limit a little bit how many reviews I engage with, because I'm so easily swayed. But she said something really, really true, I think, about Stoneyard Devotional, which I hadn't picked up on, at least explicitly, until she said it and was like, oh yeah, that's what makes it so good. So it's written in first person, as if it's the diary of this woman who's kind of gone to stay at this nunnery convent place. And it does diary really well, in that if you are actually just like writing a diary for your own sake, not because it's ever going to be published, you don't go into a lot of expositional detail about things that have happened in the past. You kind of gloss over them, because like there's certain things that are obvious to you that you don't need to kind of write down on paper. And I think that's why. Do you remember when I spoke earlier and I was like, well, I don't know how old this person is? I'm like, well, yeah, because in your diary you don't write down, and here I am at 34 years old. Like, that's not how that's not how people talk, or it's not how people write to themselves, in my opinion. And it captured that really well. It felt really authentic. So you weren't getting this kind of complete picture of a person's life, and instead you were drawn really clearly to the things that were occupying this woman's mind, as opposed to being worried about going and filling in gaps in her kind of timeline. You were just kind of thinking about and worrying about and obsessing about the things that she was thinking about and worrying about and obsessing about in that moment. But it's this beautiful book about like forgiveness and grief and faith, and I thought it was, yeah, really good. I don't know if it's my favourite on the long list, but I definitely really liked it. And I've also read a bit more of Creation Lake. I think I'm like nearly halfway through that now. That is a funny one, because technically it is a slow moving plot. We're 200 pages in, and we've learned quite a lot, and a lot's been said, and a lot's happening. You're being filled in on a lot. But the actual like action as it happens within the time frame of the book, not a lot's happened. But like, I'm not mad about that. I just think it's because it feels to me like quite a pacey read. And then I was just reflecting, like having got halfway through, being like, oh shit, hang on, almost nothing's happened yet. But yeah, we're following this woman who used to be, she's American, and she used to work for the police as a kind of like, what are they called? Like a undercover agent, basically, but like the technical term for that. And so she's done a lot of infiltrating of groups, and she's now working, after a minor career mishap, is now working in the private sector, and has basically been sent to go and find out if this kind of environmentalist activist group are potentially going to do illegal things in the name of their cause. And so far we've followed her like getting to that place in France, and she's just kind of met the guy there. But because you're getting a lot of backstory at the same time. It doesn't feel like it's moved slowly, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I am really enjoying it. So I'm gonna eat my dinner, and I'm not feeling very well. My partner yesterday he's been a bit poorly all week, but yesterday, total write-off. Like, he was so sick, just like a really bad cold. And I've been fine, and today I'm a bit snotty, and like, right up here is feeling very tight. So I'm gonna do what I can this evening to try and like fend that off. He had, am I gonna say this on you? Yeah, you don't know him, it's fine. He had his first bath in 10 years yesterday. That's how sick he was. He couldn't face having a shower, and he just felt like he needed to like sweat stuff out. We're not bath people in this house. I kind of don't understand the point of a bath. I always think it's gonna be a really like nice relaxing thing, and then I get in and I'm too hot, and like I'm too scared to read my book, and I get really sweaty, and then I get grumpy, and then I get fussy, and then I get out, like, and then I have to have a shower afterwards. So I'm not a bather. However, I am wondering if maybe I get in a bath and sweat out some stuff. Don't worry, I won't film that bit. It won't be attractive. So I might do that. And like have a lot of like lemon stuff and like some I'm just feeling like, you know, when you can tell you're about to get sick. And I have so much work to do, I can't get sick. So we'll do what we can. I'm gonna go do that. Bye.
Yeah. No, I fucking hate the bath. I hate the bath. I lasted 20 minutes. I was miserable for the entire time. I tried. I really do need the hair and the eyebrows to not look like a giant baby, don't I? What a look.
Hi. I'm so sick. Literally steaming while I work. But I'm just here to be smug, because in one of my videos, not this one that's already up on my channel, I can't remember which one, I was complaining about Playground by Richard Powers being on the long list of the Booker Prize, but that book not being out until, well, I think it's like out like now, and how annoying that was for like ordinary people like me who don't get sent a lot of ARCs, etc. And then I got a message from who? The one and only Jen Campbell, Queen of BookTube. And she has sent me her advanced copy. And I'm so grateful and smug. I mean, she didn't like this book. So she put a message in saying, I hope you like it more than I did. And I hope I do too, Jen. But even if I don't, I'm very grateful. Thank you. And wow, I see what you mean about small font. Why do books do... I mean, I know why they do it. But, like, I don't even... Touch wood. I don't even have issues with my eyesight. And that is small text. Okay, I'm gonna go back to work. And I realised it's Wednesday. I should have finished this video yesterday. It's supposed to be on my channel tomorrow. But I will wrap up with you later, properly. Because I did start reading a book. That's really good. So that's nice. My God, I am snot. I am snot. I am not well. I hate having a cold because it's like,
it's such a pathetic, like, illness. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I got a runny nose. But I do. I've got a really runny nose, and it's making me really sad. And my face hurts, and my head has... Someone's shoved another head inside my head, and it's hurting. So, we are... We're gonna stop now. I will tell you briefly that the book I started reading was I Will Crash by Rebecca Watson. I'm listening to it on audio. It's narrated by Rebecca Watson. It is, if you read Little Scratch by Rebecca Watson, I'm not going to keep saying her name, that seems silly. If you've read Little Scratch by that author, it is a very similar idea in that what she does really well is a stream of conscious. Like, you are inside this woman's head. And in Little Scratch, that was being like 24 hours inside the head of a woman who was dealing with an assault. And this book is, I don't know if it's going to be 24 hours, but it's about a woman who's just found out that her older brother has died in a car crash. And they were sort of, she uses the phrase politely estranged. And she has very complex feelings about her brother because he was not very kind to her when they were growing up. And we're not quite sure about, she's almost not sure about whether what she remembers was abuse or just kind of normal sibling behavior. Do you know what I mean? But it's very good. I think if you liked Little Scratch, you will like this. It's very good. And I, as I did with Little Scratch, I recommend the audio. It's the sort of book that I don't think I would like it on the page because it's got lots, it's very fragmented, because you're inside her brain as she's having all of these disjointed thoughts. And I think I would struggle to read that on the page, but hearing it works much better for me. So if that resonates with you, then get yourself the audio. It's on Everand at the minute. The ebook isn't, but the audiobook is. At least it's on in like my region in the UK. I don't know about overseas. But yeah, so that's that. And I'm gonna love you and leave you here. The good news is that I've just finished editing the rest of this video. So all I have to do is just chuck this bit on the end, and then I can pass out on the sofa, because I am not feeling good. And normally I'm very good with my boundaries in work, and if I'm sick I won't force myself to work, but there are just some things happening that it would stress me out so much to have to reschedule and to like miss out on, because I'm away for 2 weeks next month, so I'm already feeling like so if I can, I'm gonna try and like chill tonight. I'm gonna take as much care of myself as I can, and hopefully I'll be okay tomorrow. But if you are still here, please give this video a little thumbs up. Share it with someone if you think for some reason they would enjoy it. Be like, watch this woman slowly get sick and not read books. If you know you've got a friend with a that shaped hole in their life, allow me to fill it. And yeah, that would be really kind, because it just would be. I've struggled this week. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below your cures for, your cures for cold, and also your cures for a reading slump. What do you reach for when you are not feeling like you want to reach for a book?
Do you have comfort books that you pick up? Do you default to something else? Do you go for gaming or like movies or TV shows instead and just let yourself come back to reading when you want? Like, what do you do? What do you do? Tell me what you do. Also, let me know, I've not spoken about this in this video, but let me know your thoughts on the latest casting announcement for the new Wuthering Heights film, because I am less than impressed. So, love you. Bye.